Hi, I'm Chef Beth, and this is Nutrition in the Kitchen. Today we're going to talk about my three-part feeding framework. We want to create a basic foundation for lifelong great nutrition and eating habits. I have a three-part feeding framework you can start at a very early age. The first job even starts at the first few days of life. So let's start now with part one. The first part of my feeding framework is dividing the feeding responsibilities. There are two jobs, one for the parent and one for the child. The parent is in charge of the feeding part. The child is in charge of the eating part. This means the parent is in charge of the what and the when of feeding. They prep and they cook. They decide what will be served and at what time. The child's job is the how much of feeding. They are in charge of their own hunger and fullness and the amounts that they eat. And this is really a hard concept for parents to get on board with, but it will really improve the whole feeding dynamic. Let's go quickly through 3 stages of how feeding jobs work. Very early on in the infant stage, the parent provides the liquid from the breast or a bottle. The infant decides how much that they want. Sometimes the infant gives cues that they are done. They'll pull off or maybe they'll turn away. And this is giving you a cue that they are full. The parent should respect that cue, even if the baby hasn't been nursing, for example, as long as the parent thinks that they should, or if there's some liquid still left in the bottle. But it's important to respond to the infant's cue that they're done. Now for the older baby stage, when they start eating solids and move to the high chair, a child is also able to give very clear cues on about how hungry or full they are. When they're hungry, they might lean forward. They're eager. They open their mouth when they see the spoon coming. When they're done, they close their mouth and they might turn away or lean back. Even though they can't speak yet, they're still able to communicate and give these cues about when their job, eating, is done. The third stage starts at toddler age and moves on from there. In a way, the jobs become easier because the child can now speak and communicate. However, it also gets harder because now the children start developing preferences and they start getting pickier. On another segment, we'll troubleshoot specific situations, but for now, just realize if you stick to your job, the feeding and the providing, and the child sticks to their job, choosing their own amounts to eat based on their hunger and fullness levels, the entire process, the entire feeding dynamic will be easier and much more enjoyable. Please join me for part 2 next time on Nutrition in the Kitchen when we will cover the second part of the feeding framework. I'm Chef Beth. See you next time on Nutrition in the Kitchen.